Hi, I'm David Hurl, and in today's session, we're going to be talking about data analysis. Data analysis is around turning data into information for management and for external stakeholders that might require the information that we are providing. What are the stages? Well, firstly, start with data collection. We then collate and present, analyze, interpret, and judge. So we can say it moves from data to information to knowledge. When analyzing or trying to interpret data, start with your objectives or your evaluation objectives or your monitoring objectives, and making sure you understand why you are doing it, because that will help you in the analysis process. You need firstly to verify the data once you collect it. So data may come from an existing data set, i.e. something you do not control, and you need to be sure that that data is of a standard that is okay for you and your project. Where did it come from? Who collected? What methods did they use? You might need to verify if you're using a new method, or when targets and data match perfectly. That might be indicating some problem. Maybe verifying when you have new workers or implementing partners to check, are they doing the data collection to your standard and correctly? If you see big changes in data, that could be indicating an issue. So have a look at it, find out why, be sure that is correct. And if there are gaps in data, you would need to understand why. So the idea of data analysis is you are looking beyond the raw data to ask questions about what they mean, what the most significant findings are, what conclusions and recommendations can be drawn. As I said earlier, always start, I think, by understanding why you're doing it, because that will help you work out the analytical process that you need to put in place. Let's think firstly about how we process quantitative data. So we have really 4 steps. We prepare, analyze, interpret, and then we judge the meaning of the findings in terms of our program or project. When you're preparing data, you're looking for completeness and consistency. Re-enumerate omissions and inconsistencies. Correct by using agreed imputation process. Look out for fake and misunderstood data. Code answers if questions are not pre-coded. Transcribe onto summary tables or enter onto your database or statistical package ready for computer analysis. Some of the simple techniques, if you don't need to do a major statistical run, prepare some graphs, calculate rates and averages, ranking data, producing tables are all useful early stage methods to analyze data. And these are good for quick and timely reporting. Also needed, in fact, as the first step before you use more complex methods of analysis. Some of those more complex procedures around multivariate analysis, and this is required when the causal analysis is involved, especially in the later stage of evaluation of a project. You might need to get some support here from a statistician to help you with this part, as it's a fairly specialized area and often beyond what we as monitoring evaluation professionals are good at. So think about if you're going to get into the more involved areas of analysis, you might need a statistician to help you. It can be difficult, this last stage, because I think it's fair to say that the collecting of data probably is more fun than the analysis. I suppose what I'm saying here, working through the data can take a lot of time. It can be fairly tedious. You've got to check a lot of things. And I think we often underestimate how much time is involved in moving the data from a raw collection through the analysis phase. So do make sure you've allowed time for this process. So these were, some of the issues I think that happen as a result at this stage. In terms of qualitative information, a bit different. We here do not have the statistical element. So here, a little bit more general in the analysis process. So firstly, I would suggest you read through it. We're looking in particularly with qualitative data around similarities across accounts, directions, trends, and consistencies. And we try to categorize our raw data into some sort of themes and topics. Again, the same process as a quantitative. You need to prepare, analyze, interpret, and judge. You need to collate, so scaling up from smaller units of analysis to a larger one. So, you've done a lot of individual interviews, but you need to pull those together to come into one picture. You need to look at information collected from different sources and try to make sense, looking for any comparisons and patterns. So I would say it can be quite difficult, the qualitative evaluation, particularly if you've got a lot of narrative to go through and you need to sort it all out. With qualitative data collection analysis, you are looking at the information. You're looking for ideas, facts, impressions. You're trying to look for connections. And you, of course, arrive at conclusions that lead to action. Good practice in qualitative data analysis involve the actual data collectors in the analysis. Why? Because they have been collecting information, and often while they collect, they've got some ideas in their own mind around the themes that have been emerging. I suggest that you can, with qualitative, almost collect and analyze concurrently. You don't have to wait till the end. And that can be helpful because you start seeing the theme and the narrative story coming through. Some of the problems and dangers in qualitative analysis is sometimes we draw hasty conclusions and making generalizations too early. Avoid by highlighting context and specific characteristics of the program. We try sometimes to quantify qualitative data, but of course there's no statistical relevance to doing that, but can of course help understand. So don't worry too much about trying to quantify what is in effect qualitative data. Focus on the asking why and how rather than how many. Another thing in the data analysis thing you should be aware about is a data quality audit. And this is where you verify the reported data for key indicators at selected sites and assess the ability of data management systems to collect, manage, and report quality data. So these will be some of the dimensions of a data quality audit. So you look at the validity. So what I'm saying here, these are things you should be checking. Validity, accuracy. Is our situation accurate? Reliability, completeness, precision, timeliness, integrity, and confidentiality. So by confidentiality, is the access to data strictly regulated to authorized personnel in measures in place to prevent unauthorized access? So it's in two parts when you use a data quality audit. The first part is the qualitative, where we assess the strengths and the weakness of the data collection and reporting system. And then the quantitative part, we're looking at the data verification, where we compare recounted to reported data and the review of timeliness, completeness, and availability of reports. Key success factors in the data quality audit: check there's a functioning system, check few indicators that are clearly defined, describe all the roles and responsibilities, specific reporting timelines, standard compatible with the data collection reporting tools with clear instructions, documented data review procedures to be formed at all levels, steps for addressing data quality challenges have been put in place, and there is a storage policy and filing practices. So some of the elements that you need to make sure you cover off on as part of that data quality audit. A little bit on statistics. There are other parts in this module around statistics. During this course, we're not aiming particularly to teach statistics other than make you aware of a few elements around statistics. As Disraeli said, there are lies, damn lies, and statistics. But just to a general point I should make in terms of analysis here, we apply statistics to two groups: the population. So a population and a parameter is a measurement describing some characteristic of a population. A sample, so a statistic applied to a sample to make generalizations about the population based upon the sample. Again, in this section, you'll find some ideas around sampling. So for data analysis where you want a statistical result, you're going to have to ensure you have applied a sampling methodology that is robust so that you can then analyze to get that statistical significance that you would be looking for. Now, to make that easy, for statistical analysis of data, the main program that we would be using is SPSS, and this is used as the benchmark, I would say the benchmark tool for taking data and converting it into statistically, doing all the computations required in terms of the statistics that we need. If you don't need statistical analysis, but you're looking just to analyze data and put it into tables, looking graphs and charts and organizing data, Excel is the one to use. There are, of course, other ones out there, some of a highly complicated nature for very complex studies, and some of a rather more simple nature. Probably, though, the tool that you should familiarize yourself with would be SPSS and Excel. And this little diagram is sort of showing us an example of how the whole system works in terms of information, not just data analysis. So from a community level, we're collecting the data. So in this particular example, it's a monthly data collection reports. They then go into a database. So the data analysis using a database, Excel or some other database. And then that passes through to in this particular organization, from the national level to the global level. So what I'm saying here, something to be aware of. Some of you will be working in organizations where you are reporting not just at the national and country level, but at the international level. Maybe you have an NGO having an international headquarters, as is the case of this one in Brighton in the United Kingdom. They will be wanting to collect data from all of their countries. And in those systems, there's generally a centralized database on a headquarter-driven server, and you supply the data to that process. So data analysis, just a few tips there to get you started on it. Have a look through this section. There are some more details on the different elements of data analysis. Again, as I've said in previous sections, if you need help and you get stuck on anything, please ask me, or maybe post it to the Facebook group that we have, and we can answer you in that format. So thank you and good luck with data analysis.